Good evening. This is Robert Davis back with you. It's 9:31 in the evening here, and whatever time and or date you're at, I hope you're having a really good week. It's Thursday here, May 12th. Okay, let's get started. I've got some exciting stuff here for you today that's fresh. Let's run Delphi. Now you see this particular message. This is because this is a trial edition of Absolute Database Personal Edition. It is relational, multi-user, and SQL compatible. So we're just going to OK that. It's fully functional though. And so we're going to open up this Absolute Database example. And I've already built a database and it has just a few fields. I'm just doing this for instructional purposes. This is the main application. I'll show you all the components we have here. Let me do this first. We've got the ID, first name, last name, email address, DB Navigator, the DB Grid, 4 buttons with different functionality each. And then if we open those up, you have the Absolute Database, and you have the Absolute Database. And here it has the database file name and the database name, and then you have the ABS table 1, database name my test, table name my test. Then you have the report, fast reports report. You don't have to do anything specific in these properties for fast report, but you do have to, in the FRXDB dataset, you have to set the data source, and there's only one data source. That's what we use. And then there's a Scalabium import wizard dialog and the Scalabium export wizard dialog. All of these are really some awesome components. In my view, I've picked the top 1% of components. Like I was telling you before, the Absolute Databases, and I'll put a link to their website in the description. But the Absolute Database is a third-party database. Gives you the ability to build and modify your database and tables and indices and field names and all that. And it's multi-user, relational, and SQL compatible. And it compiles right into the application. The only external files that you have are the database file itself, which contains the table. So you can distribute 2 files in one folder, and that's all you have to do. So then in the fast reports area, this is a third-party report writer / designer. I think it's best of breed, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And I think these import and export components are also best of breed. And Absolute Database, I've used it before. It's really very cool. Let's go ahead and see how this works. And then we'll look at the code in a little bit. Here we go. And there you have it. And you see all the data is connected to the right components. You can use the down arrows, first, last, refresh. You can delete a particular record. Yes, that's gone. And what we're going to do now is go ahead and clear the data out of the my test table. And I'll show you why in a minute. And you've got the email list from Fast Reports Report Writer. And you see there the data's cleared. So we want some data in the table to play with. So we're going to fire up this import wizard, and we're going to tell it we want an MS Access database file, and we'll navigate to it. Here it is, and it's the file name is actually, table name is actually main table. So click on that, and it shows you, says it's made some guesses. They're really accurate. And go next. ID is the primary key field. We want first name, last name, and because the destination and source have the same field name, it already picked it for us. So next, don't need anything there. Next, next. And this is the pin. Well, our database table is empty, so all the records will be placed in the database. So we'll click execute, and you see they're all here. The trial version of the import export wizard only allows you to import or export 50 records at a time. But I can promise you, I am an owner of the components. I'm using a trial version, number one, to get the latest version, and number two, because my Windows 11 on this computer got scrogged. Windows 11, in my view, is not ready for prime time yet. So I actually purchased Windows 10 and installed that, and you have to reinstall everything at that point. It doesn't lose your data and files and settings though. So we've imported the data. Let's look at our email list. And here you see all the records. There's 50 records total, and you see the email list is, if they have one, it's included. And we'll close that. There's 50 records, so we have 50 pages. Now, let's export some data. It just doesn't get any easier than this. I'm just going to do a straight text file and want to include column titles and blank if 0. Don't need to mess with anything else. I'm going to comma delimit the file and make the text qualifier the double quote. Okay, and then we'll do next. That's fine. I like leading zeros. And next. And it shows you fields here that you're going to export. And then next. Don't need anything there. Next. Columnar's fine. Next. And we want to open the file for review. And we've got to make this into a writable directory. So what I'm going to do is just put it on the desktop. Save that. And execute. This is just a nag screen. I'll put the link to Scalabium also in the description, and for fast reports. So there we go. We've got our field names in this first row up here, and then from here on down, well, from here on down, we've got 50 records exported to a comma delimited text file. And it's really cool. You see, like here, William Bill Davis, he's got his nickname in quotes in the first name field. In the database we exported from, and it put the double quotes in. So this is delimited properly. And if you had to, you could import this back in, and we'll import the data from the Access database again. I didn't search for the database. It's a family tree database. Main table, yes. 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 There we go. We're good. There you have the import. You got the email list. And you can do all these functions here depending on the file format that you selected. So let me close this nag screen. And you see the components again. Again, let's go over this. The database file name is, I stored on my OneDrive. It's pretty fast for that. And then the database name is the same as the table name. And then database name my test and table name my test. And then the data source is connected to ABS table 1. And then the FRX report. Remember, I told you don't really have to do anything here in the properties. You've got the data set, though, that you need to, let's see it, data source in it. No. Oh, I don't have it selected. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, just tie it to the data source. Now, when you get into Report Designer, double click Report 1. When you get in Report Designer, the first thing you have to do is go to Report Data and make sure this box is checked on the right data set. It is, and that's okay. And to make sure you get all the records, you need to assign the data set to the report page. And that's how you get all the records. Then you preview it. Looks good to me for a test. And close that. I'm starting to look and evaluate third-party databases. I have a few rules that I'm sticking to. They have to be capable of single or multi-user. They have to compile into the application, and they have to be relational, fully relational, and SQL compliant. So I'll talk more about database engines that are alternatives to some of the high-end databases that are out there. These are very affordable. You can check on the price of the absolute database on ComponentAce. I'll link that into the description. But they're not that expensive. And I'll have more about that later in another tutorial or announcement. So that's what you got. Oh, let's look at the button code email list. Simply is FRX report 1 show report, and the parameter is true to clear last report. Button 2 is the import wizard dialog. That's all you've got to do. Just call the dialog execute function. Same thing with button 3. For export, you just execute the export wizard, execute, and then for button 4, which is the clear table, first you have to close the table and then call empty table and then open the table back up again, and we're fully functional. On the form open, we open the ABS database 1 and we open the ABS table 1. So that's what involved, and I'll cover a new database, but I'd like to plug the Fast Reports VCL package. Again, I say they're best of breed in reporting packages for use in Delphi, C++, and many other development platforms. It's a good package to know. They give you really complete and very helpful people too. So uh, I'll talk more about that in the next tutorial also. So I thank you for spending the time with me. I'm Robert Davis, and I hope you have a good rest of the week. Many of you just have one day to go. That's cool. And tomorrow's Friday for us. So stick around. If you like it, please hit the like button. If you want, subscribe to the channel. It's Delphi programming tutorials. And be sure to hit the bell icon so you're notified of new tutorials or announcements. Again, thank you, and y'all have a great day. Bye.